Alright, today's lesson is going to be over midpoint and distance again. Alright, so remember that midpoint is your middle of the segment, and distance is how far. Okay, so reading this first question, segment DT has an endpoint at -7, -3, and another endpoint at 5, 3. What is the location of the midpoint? Am I going to use the midpoint formula or the distance formula? Very good. I'm going to use the midpoint formula. Remember, I always want to label my points. x1, y1, x2, y2. Alright? So if I write down my formula, I have x1 plus x2 over 2, parentheses around it, y1 plus y2 over 2, parentheses. So remember, my x1, y1, my x2, y2. So if we write them down, we have x1, which is -7, plus x2, which is 5, over 2, comma, my y1, which is -3, plus my y2, which is 3, over 2. Now see all this? I'm going to put it into Wolfram Alpha, right here on the right, exactly how I see it, okay? Exactly how I see it. So, big parentheses, then I'm going to do the small parentheses, -7, plus 5, into small parentheses, divided by 2, comma, small parentheses, -3 plus 3, small parentheses, divided by 2, big parentheses, enter. And it's going to solve it for you. So, you see right here, where it says equation and x equals -1, x equals -1, and y equals 0. So your point is -1, 0. So what's my answer? A, B, C, or D? Very good, it's D. So now we're going to try the you do. So we have segment FJ has an endpoint -7, -2, and another endpoint at 9, 6. What is the location of the midpoint H? What am I looking for here? Endpoint, midpoint, distance. Very good, midpoint. So we're going to use x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Then we're going to plug in our points. So we're going to label our points first, always. x1, y1, x2, y2. So you have your x1, y1. You have your x2, y2. So what is this formula going to look like if you plug in the points? What is this formula going to look like if you plug in those points? Very good. You have -7 plus 9 over 2, parentheses, remember those parentheses, y1, which is -2 plus 6 over 2, and you're going to plug that all into Wolfram Alpha. If you plug it all in, what is your answer? If we plug it in again, we have -7 plus 9 divided by 2. Ooh, I forgot my parentheses over here, comma, parentheses, -2 plus 6 divided by 2, parentheses, go. You should have gotten 1, 2. So what is my answer? A, B, C, or D? Very good, B. So, let's try this next one. Segment DT has a midpoint at -1, midpoint at -1, 0, and D is located at -7, -3. What is the location of point T? So, am I going to use the midpoint formula or the distance formula? Very good. We're going to use the midpoint formula because it says midpoint. So we're going to use the midpoint formula. We know m equals x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. Now, how is this different? Were we given two endpoints, or were we given one midpoint and one endpoint? Very good. We were given the midpoint and x1, y1. So our midpoint is -1, 0 equals x1 plus -7 over 2, comma. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Equals -7 plus x2 over 2, comma, -3 plus y2 over 2. And then we're going to plug this all into Wolfram alpha. Okay? So, we have the first point, -1, comma, 0. Oops. Equals, parentheses, parentheses, -7 plus x. We're just going to put x because there's no way to put the little bitty 2 on the bottom, comma, -3 plus y, parentheses, divided by 2, then the final set of parentheses. Then our answer is going to be x equals 5, y equals 3, so 5, 3. So my answer is A, B, C, or D. Very good, D. So, I want you to try this one. For, what are we given? Midpoint or endpoint? Are we given two endpoints or one midpoint, one endpoint? Very good. We're given one midpoint and one endpoint. So if you were to fill out this equation, what would it be? Very good. It would be 1, 2 equals 9 plus x2 over 2, comma, 6 plus y2 over 2. Then plug that all into Wolfram alpha, and what do you get? What do you get? If we plug it in, we get -7, -2. So what would my answer be? C, very good. So this next part is, okay, this next part is, let's read the first one. John is making a map of his school on a coordinate grid. He plots the gym at 5, 4, and the bus pickup at 5, 0, and the cafeteria at 9, 6. How far is the gym from the cafeteria to the nearest foot? So I'm dealing with gym and cafeteria. Gym and cafeteria. And I'm dealing with how far. So if I'm dealing with far, am I going to use the midpoint formula or the distance formula? Very good. I'm going to use the distance formula. Which is this formula right here. So, the thing about this is we want the gym 5, 4 and the cafeteria 9, 6. So we have 5, 4 and 9, 6. And we're going to label those points x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're just going to plug them in where we see them. So square root x2 first, that's 9, minus x1, which is 5, squared plus y2, which is 6, minus 4 squared. Then we're going to plug that all into Wolfram alpha. Plug it all into Wolfram alpha. So, square root symbol, where is it? Let's see. I know if we put square root, yeah, there we go. Square root. We're going to keep those parentheses, those big parentheses on the outside. And then we'll write in the inside. Okay, so parentheses, 9 minus 5, parentheses. This little caret right here means squared, plus, parentheses, 6 minus 4, parentheses. That little caret, 2. Okay, so we have our answers right here, 4.4. And it says round. So if we're rounding, 0.4 is not bigger than 5, so it's just going to be 4. So let's try the next one. So we have John is making a map of the city on a coordinate grid. He plots the gym at 6:10 and the zoo at 2:11 or 2:1 and the park at 1:10. How far is the gym from the park? So we're dealing with the gym and the park. We're dealing with far. If we're dealing with far, am I going to use the midpoint formula or the distance formula? Very good, distance formula. And then what 2 points am I dealing with? Very good, gym and park. So I have gym is 6:10 and park is 1:10. x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I plug in the points. So we have x2, which is 1, minus 6 squared plus 10 minus 10 squared. So then I plug this all into Wolfram alpha right here. If you plug in, what do you get? Oops. Parentheses first. 1 minus 6 parentheses squared. Oop. Squared plus 10 minus 10 parentheses squared, enter, and it's 5. My answer is right there. 5. So, if I go over here, same thing, okay? So, if we read the first one, we have the segment LM is shown below. Based on the information, what is the distance from L to point M? Round your answer if necessary. So, distance, would we use the midpoint formula or the distance formula? Very good, we'd use the distance formula. So, D equals x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So we have this point, -6, -2. Then we have 6, 6, 3. x1, y1, x2, y2. So you have 6 minus -6 plus 3 minus -2 squared. So we're going to plug that all into Wolfram alpha. We're going to plug it all into Wolfram alpha. So if we plug it in, what do we get? Six minus -6, parentheses, caret 2 plus, parentheses, 3 minus -2, parentheses, caret 2, and you get 1. See the answer's right there? 1. 1. So, trying this other one. Segment MN is shown below. Based on the information, what is the distance from point M to N? Round your answer if necessary. So we're going to use the midpoint formula or the distance formula. Very good, distance formula. So D equals x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. You have this point, which is -1, 0. You have this point, which is -7, -3. Now, if you were to set up the distance formula, what would it be? What would it be? Let's see. So you have x1, x2, or y, dang it, x1, y1, x2, y2. So you have x2, which is -1 minus -7 squared plus y2, which is 0 minus -3 squared. So then plug this into Wolfram Alpha, and what do you get? Let's see what we get. Alright, so you should have taken the question already. Let's see if you were right. So -1 minus -7 squared. Now, it really does depend on how you put stuff in, so you have to be very careful on how you put the equation in, because if you put it in wrong, it will it'll give you a wrong answer, honestly. So just be careful. So we have the decimal form, which is 6.7, 6.7. But do we see how this 0.7 is bigger than 0.5? We're going to round up, so it's going to be 7. So 6.7 rounds up to 7. 6.7 rounds up to 7, so my answer is A. Very good.